Need to talk about why this camera shot is tilted. Has no one noticed yet? Okay, we're going over the Florida Mayhem, a team that's had very high highs, but extremely low lows throughout its lifetime, which is kind of crazy. Let's go over kept, lost, and added. They've kept Checkmate, technically just left and then rejoined. They've lost Yaki, Gangnam Jin, Slime, Gargoyle, OG, and BQB. So basically their entire roster, apart from Checkmate. They've added Sir Majad, Mirror, Adam, Arnamo, and Hydra. Complete rebuild, basically, apart from Checkmate, like I said, who rejoined. And with their DPS potentially playing tank too. Who remembers Checkmate Ryan? Press like if you remember Checkmate Reinhardt last season. Very strange, but hey, they for some reason wanted him to play Ryan for a lot of the time he was playing. And about 50% of the time last year he played for the Mayhem, he was actually on the Reinhardt. I guess that's kind of good for Overwatch 2. We've only got one tank, and having someone else that can play Ryan's pretty decent. I can't imagine that's going to be the case, considering they have people like Adam, but we'll see. I also assume that because they have Mirror, they'd rather have Mirror on tank, but it seems to me like they got a lot of tank players, basically. But his Ryan honestly wasn't bad last season. Mirror, who can also play tank, can now play Doomfist on the tank role, something that he's very good at in Overwatch 1, and although he didn't live up to expectations, or at least my expectations of the player, I didn't really see what I wanted to see when he transitioned to the league. He still did pretty well. For being cycled through 3 different roles, he didn't do too badly. I thought he'd pop off a little bit more, but maybe he plays some Doomfist tank in Overwatch 2 if that turns out to be any good, and he starts rolling people. Yeah, like I said, he played every role for the Glads, and he was the first player to do so, which is pretty cool. But there was no consistency, so maybe consistency is what he does need in this roster and going into a different game. Hydron is their other DPS that they've picked up. Seems like a perma pick for the roster. He comes from Redbird Esports American Tornado, a team that we've spoken a ton about in every video, because every North American player that has been picked up is probably from one of those 2 teams, which is really cool. I think he is the most hyped player, at least for myself, coming out of those teams. I think Hydron's an incredibly well-rounded hit scan player, so I'm pretty excited to see how much he can do in the league. There is an unbelievable amount of good DPS talent, so living up to a lot of, not even like expectations in general, but like living up to some of these gods of DPS in the league, it can be quite daunting, but I have faith in Hydron, him doing pretty well. Yeah, so fingers crossed, Mirror stays on one role and Hydron does well against some of the best. Now we're looking at tanks. Yes, okay, let's get it out of the way real fast. Checkmate and Mirror can probably both play tank. Mirror can play Doomfist. And Checkmate can play Ryan. His Ryan, like I mentioned before, wasn't that bad. So they've got a lot of things covered. They also have Adam, who was set to play on the LA Valiant roster before the 2021 fiasco happened. Yeah, that was a thing. He's been in hibernation, waiting to join the Overwatch League again, and played in Contenders for a little while on Uprising Academy. So we're finally seeing Adam. Thank goodness for that. Incredibly solid and has been for a long time. And obviously he's been solid for a long time because he was supposed to join the league in 2021. Who knows where he could be right now if he did end up joining the LA Valiant. So yeah, pretty hyped for Adam, honestly. And one thing I will say, keeping consistency throughout an entire year, especially playing in Contenders, you're not guaranteed a shot. Like, that's kind of crazy. So in a way, I'm super impressed with Adam just getting this next shot. He was obviously clearly good enough in 2021 and just keeping up that kind of performance, even when you're playing in Contenders against in like Uprising Academy. Like, that is very different from the Overwatch League. Keeping consistently performing above and beyond and getting picked up again, I think is really cool. So hats off to Adam. Incredibly solid player regardless, and I think he was going to make the league anyway. Okay, the supports. Pretty big fan of this support line. Sir Majad, incredibly solid tier 2 player, and someone that has been hyped up by a lot of the tier 2 players that he's played with and around for a while now, saying that he needs to make the league. So him finally having that transition to the Overwatch League is really cool. Another Saudi Arabian player, Kassar, who was in the league a couple of years ago, so it's really nice to see another Saudi Arabian player making it. It's good stuff. Arnamo, also, big pickup. Not bad whatsoever. A bit of a weird one, not going to lie. Didn't really see that one coming at all. Exile Dynasty, of course. A lot of teams this year aren't even fielding main support, so Mayhem actually doing that, pretty nice. I know Connor Avast has been talking a lot about this kind of double flex support kind of dealio. I still think, and I think a lot of people agree, you definitely need a goddamn main support. Maybe I'm misquoting him. Maybe he's... I can't remember exactly what I said. I know he's been hyping up double flex support though. But I still think you need a goddamn main support. You need that Lucio. Lucio is the only hero currently that can give a team-wide speed boost until they release someone else that does. They'll probably end up doing something with speed. Maybe they think it's too OP, not sure. As long as it doesn't stack, I think it'll be fine. But you need someone that can play Lucio at a good level. Arnamo is that player. The Mayhem look like a very well-rounded team. I mean, Mirror, who can play an absolute ton across all three roles. Hydron, an incredibly solid hit scan player. You have Adam, who is year on year made it to the Overwatch League. He didn't technically make it in 2021, but you know, he made it. He got on the roster for a little while at least before the fiasco happened, so that's really cool, and he's kept that consistency, which is great. Sermajad, who a lot of the players have been hyping up for a while, and Arnamo, a legendary main support player. Like, that's really cool. I do think Checkmate is a bit of a strange, not a strange one to keep, but where the hell is he going to fit? Are they going to make him play goddamn main tank again? I'm not sure. Maybe. It would be kind of funny if he just comes into the league and only plays main tank, and it's like, well, your DPS role? Nah, fam. Like a lot of early DPS players that transitioned into tank. Yeah, really funny. Actually, one of them is on the roster right now in McGravy. He was a Tracer player a long time ago and then transitioned to the tank role and played Fat Tracer, Diva. So that's pretty funny. So they have a lot of flexibility in that regard, and Mirror can obviously play the Doomfist if they do require that, if Adam isn't as good as Mirror with there. So overall, I think the team is pretty solid. Well-rounded, not a crazy huge roster either. Not like some of the other teams we have right now with like 77 players in them. So yeah, great. I like the Mayhem roster. Is it going to do well? Don't know. I think this is a very middle-of-the-pack team, just judging on the strength of the Western region currently, looking at teams like the Gladiators. I still don't think they're going to reach that like top 5, but I'm willing to be surprised for sure. They've got a lot of new faces on the roster, and we'll see how they eventually do. I think this is a middle-of-the-table team that could potentially, with giant pop-off performances from people like Hydron, maybe push it up into the upper echelons of the West, but we'll have to... wait and find out. Let me know how you see this team. How do you see them? How do you think they're going to perform in the Overwatch League this year? I'm pretty excited. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And that's it. Goodbye.